The Great Pyramid of Giza stands as a monument to human achievement. It has watched over the desert sands for thousands of years. We are told it was built as a tomb for a pharaoh named Khufu. But is that the whole story? When we look at this structure not as historians, but as engineers, a different picture emerges. The sheer scale of the pyramid is hard to comprehend. It is made of millions of stone blocks, some weighing as much as 80 tons. These blocks were cut and placed with a precision that modern builders would find difficult to match. This level of precision seems excessive for just a burial monument. It suggests a different, more functional purpose. For centuries, people have been fascinated by the pyramids. They ask simple questions that have very complex answers. How were they built? Why were they built with such mathematical accuracy? The Great Pyramid is aligned almost perfectly with true north. It sits at a unique location on Earth, the center of our planet's landmass. These are not random details. They are clues left behind by its creators. When we examine the evidence without preconceived notions, we must consider all possibilities. The idea that this was simply a pharaoh's final resting place begins to feel incomplete. The structure itself seems to be telling us it was something more. My own journey into this mystery began with a simple observation about the craftsmanship. As a manufacturing engineer, I recognized the signs of advanced machining. The granite coffer inside the king's chamber shows evidence of tool marks that suggest high-speed drilling. The flat surfaces and sharp, precise corners are not the work of simple hand tools. They are the result of a sophisticated process. This level of technology is not what we associate with the ancient Egyptians of the 4th dynasty. It forces us to ask, what if their capabilities were far beyond what we currently believe? What if the pyramid's purpose was as advanced as its construction? This essay will explore a different theory. It is a theory based on engineering, physics, and a close examination of the pyramid's internal structure. We will set aside the traditional story for a moment and look at the Great Pyramid as a machine. We will investigate the materials used, the design of its chambers and shafts, and the possibility that it was built to harness the natural energies of the Earth. This is not a story of fantasy, but a technical analysis of an ancient wonder. We will consider the evidence and ask what it tells us about the true purpose of the last remaining wonder of the ancient world. The mainstream view, taught in schools and presented in museums, is that the Great Pyramid was a tomb. It was built for the pharaoh Khufu, a ruler from Egypt's 4th dynasty, around 4,500 years ago. According to this theory, the pyramid was a grand monument designed to protect the pharaoh's body and his treasures for the afterlife. The Egyptians believed that their kings would become gods in the afterlife, and so they built these massive structures to ensure a safe journey. The pyramid was meant to be a stairway to the heavens, a place where the pharaoh's soul could ascend and join the gods among the stars. This is the story we have been told for generations. This traditional explanation is supported by a few key points. The pyramid is located on the Giza Plateau, which is a large necropolis, or city of the dead. It is surrounded by smaller pyramids, tombs for queens, and mastabas, which are tombs for nobles and high officials. This context suggests that the Great Pyramid served a similar funerary purpose. Historians point to ancient Greek writers like Herodotus, who visited Egypt and wrote that the pyramids were tombs for kings. Although he wrote his accounts 2,000 years after the pyramid was built, his writings have heavily influenced our understanding. The entire structure seems designed to seal and protect something valuable inside. However, there are significant problems with the tomb theory when we examine the facts closely. The most glaring issue is that no mummy has ever been found inside the Great Pyramid. When explorers first entered the king's chamber, they found a large empty granite box, which they named the sarcophagus. But this coffer was completely empty. There were no signs of a body, no treasures, and no hieroglyphic inscriptions on the chamber walls, declaring it as Khufu's tomb. This is highly unusual for a pharaoh's burial chamber, which were typically filled with elaborate decorations and texts to guide the king in the afterlife. The absence of these elements is a major puzzle. Furthermore, the design of the pyramid seems impractical for a tomb. The passages are narrow and steep, making it difficult to move a large sarcophagus or funeral items. The so-called sarcophagus is actually larger than the entrance to the chamber, meaning it must have been placed there during construction. Why build a tomb around an empty box? The traditional theory requires us to accept many assumptions without direct proof. It asks us to believe that grave robbers managed to steal everything, including the king's body, and leave no trace behind. As an engineer, I find it more logical to question the initial premise. Perhaps it was never a tomb to begin with. What if the Great Pyramid was not a tomb, but a machine? This is the core of the Giza power plant theory. This idea proposes that the pyramid was a highly sophisticated device, built to harness and convert the Earth's natural vibrations into energy. It was not a place for the dead, but a source of power for the living. This theory did not come from ancient texts, but from a modern engineering analysis of the structure itself. It looks at the pyramid as a functional object and tries to understand how its components would work together. It suggests the ancient builders were not just master architects, but also brilliant scientists and engineers. This theory gained significant attention through the work of several researchers, including myself. In my book, The Giza Power Plant, I presented evidence based on my career in advanced manufacturing. I examined the pyramid's construction not with the eyes of an archaeologist, but with the precision of an engineer. The tool marks on the granite artifacts, the perfect angles, and the choice of materials all pointed to a level of technology far beyond simple hand tools. Others, like Nikola Tesla, had hinted at the idea of the Earth as a source of energy. The power plant theory connects these ideas to the greatest structure ever built. It suggests the pyramid was a massive acoustical device designed to resonate with the Earth's frequency. The evidence for this theory lies in the pyramid's unique design and materials. The builders used specific types of stone in different parts of the structure, not for decoration, but for their physical properties. For example, the inner chambers are built from granite, a stone rich in quartz crystals. Quartz has piezoelectric properties, meaning it generates an electric voltage when put under pressure. The main body of the pyramid is made of limestone, which is an excellent insulator. This combination of conductive and insulating materials is exactly what you would expect to find in an electrical device. The theory proposes that the pyramid collected vibrations from the Earth and amplified them. This process would have started deep beneath the pyramid. The structure is built on a solid limestone plateau, which is an excellent conductor of seismic energy. The subtle, constant vibrations of the planet would have traveled up into the pyramid's base. The shape of the pyramid would then focus this energy, channeling it upwards towards the inner chambers. The specific dimensions and angles of the passages and chambers were not random. They were precisely calculated to create a resonant system. The entire building was tuned, like a giant musical instrument, to the frequency of our planet. It was designed to turn the Earth's hum into usable power. The design of the Great Pyramid is a masterclass in engineering, and every detail seems to support its function as a machine. The choice of materials is the first major clue. The outer casing was originally covered in smooth, white Tura limestone. This limestone was highly polished and acted as a massive mirror reflecting sunlight. But more importantly, it served as an insulator, preventing the energy built up inside from escaping. It also protected the inner limestone blocks from moisture, which would have interfered with the pyramid's electrical properties. The Tura limestone casing was a critical component for maintaining the specific conditions needed for the machine to operate. Inside the pyramid, the materials change. The passages and chambers, such as the Grand Gallery and the King's Chamber, are constructed from Aswan granite. This granite was brought from quarries over 500 miles away. Why go to such trouble? Because this granite has a high concentration of quartz crystals, up to 55%. As we discussed, quartz is piezoelectric. When the granite blocks were subjected to the immense pressure from the millions of tons of stone above them, and also vibrated by the Earth's energy, the quartz crystals would have produced an electric field. The granite-lined chambers were not just for show. They were the active, energy-producing components of the machine. The internal layout is also highly specific. The subterranean chamber, carved deep into the bedrock below the pyramid, is rough and unfinished. This suggests it may have been the starting point of the process. One theory is that a chemical reaction was initiated here, producing hydrogen gas. This hydrogen would then fill the upper chambers. The Queen's Chamber, with its gabled roof and salt deposits on the walls, appears to be designed for a chemical process. The northern and southern shafts leading from this chamber were sealed at both ends, perfect for containing gases. These are not ventilation shafts, as some have suggested, but conduits for a specific purpose. The Grand Gallery is another marvel of engineering. It is a tall, corbelled passage leading up to the King's Chamber. Its walls have 27 pairs of slots, and its design creates a unique acoustic resonance. It seems designed to function as a resonator, collecting and amplifying sound or vibration. Imagine the low-frequency hum from the Earth being channeled up through the pyramid and into the Grand Gallery. The gallery's structure would have amplified this sound, turning a faint hum into a powerful wave of energy. This amplified energy would then be directed into the final and most important part of the machine, the King's Chamber. The King's Chamber is located at the very heart of the pyramid's design. It's a simple rectangular room, built entirely of these massive granite blocks. Everything about this chamber, honestly, points to a technical, functional purpose rather than a ceremonial one. The walls are flat and undecorated, which, is quite strange for a pharaoh's final resting place. The granite is perfectly cut and fitted together. The chamber's dimensions were precisely calculated to create a specific resonant frequency. When sound is produced inside this room, it resonates powerfully. The chamber was designed to vibrate in harmony with the energy channeled into it from the Grand Gallery. It was, in effect, the power-generating core of the entire structure. Above the King's Chamber are 5 small relieving chambers. The traditional view is that these were built to relieve the pressure from the stone above and protect the King's Chamber ceiling. However, as an engineer, this explanation seems flawed. The massive granite beams of the ceiling are more than strong enough on their own. Instead, these chambers seem to be part of the resonant design. The granite beams separating these chambers are rough on top and smooth on the bottom. This suggests they were designed to vibrate. They acted like a series of tuning forks, all tuned to the same frequency, amplifying the vibration of the King's Chamber below them. The granite coffer, or sarcophagus, is the only object in the King's Chamber. It's far too large to have been moved in, so it was placed there as the pyramid was built around it. It's also made of a single piece of Aswan granite. When struck, it rings like a bell, emitting a deep, resonant tone. This coffer was not a coffin. It was a crucial part of the machine. It was likely the final amplifier, tuned to the exact frequency of the chamber. As the entire room vibrated with powerful, low-frequency sound, the coffer would have vibrated in sympathy, converting this immense acoustic energy into another form, likely microwave energy. The shafts leading out from the King's Chamber are another piece of the puzzle. Unlike the shafts in the Queen's Chamber, these were open on the inside. They point towards specific star constellations, but their function was likely more practical. They were waveguides. A waveguide is a structure that guides waves, such as electromagnetic waves. The energy generated in the king's chamber, converted into microwaves by the resonating granite, would have been beamed out of the pyramid through these shafts. The pyramid was not just generating power, it was transmitting it wirelessly. The ancient Egyptians may have had a way to collect this energy to power their civilization. The Queen's Chamber, located below the King's Chamber, plays a very different but equally important role in the power plant theory. The name is honestly a misnomer, as it was never intended for a queen. The chamber is lined with fine limestone and has this distinctive gabled roof. Unlike the King's Chamber, its walls have been found to be coated with a thin layer of salt, about half an inch thick. Archaeologists have really struggled to explain this, but from a chemical engineering perspective, it is a significant clue. The presence of salt, combined with the chamber's sealed nature, suggests it was the site of a chemical reaction. The two shafts extending from the north and south walls of the Queen's Chamber are key to this theory. For many years, their purpose was a mystery. In the year 1993, a small robot named Upuat-2 explored these shafts and found that they were blocked by small stone doors with copper handles. This discovery proved they were not for ventilation. Instead, they appear to be pipes or conduits. The theory suggests that two different chemicals were piped into the chamber through these shafts. The copper handles may have been electrical contacts or parts of a valve system. The chamber was, in effect, a reaction vessel. What kind of reaction would take place? The evidence points to the production of hydrogen gas. If a dilute solution of hydrochloric acid was piped in through one shaft and a hydrated zinc solution through the other, they would mix within the chamber. This chemical reaction would produce a large volume of hydrogen gas. The gabled limestone roof would have prevented the gas from condensing, and the salt on the walls is a byproduct of this exact type of chemical process. The Queen's Chamber was not a burial room. It was a chemical generator, providing the fuel source that the rest of the machine needed to operate efficiently. The hydrogen produced in the Queen's Chamber would have been much less dense than air, causing it to rise. It would have filled the upper passages, including the Grand Gallery and the King's Chamber. Hydrogen is an excellent conductor of sound, much better than air. Filling the resonant chambers with hydrogen would have dramatically increased the efficiency of the entire system. The acoustic energy from the Earth's vibrations would travel more easily and be amplified to a much greater degree. The Queen's Chamber was the chemical engine that primed the main acoustical generator, preparing it to produce a massive amount of power. If the Great Pyramid was indeed a power plant, the implications are absolutely staggering. It would mean that the ancient Egyptians possessed a form of technology that we are only just beginning to understand. Imagine for a moment a civilization not powered by fire, muscle, or steam, but by clean, wireless energy drawn from the Earth itself. This power could have been used for a variety of purposes. It could have powered tools for cutting and shaping the massive stones used to build their temples and monuments. This would explain the incredible precision we see in their stonework, which honestly appears impossible to achieve with simple hand tools. This ancient power source could have illuminated their cities and temples. Instead of flickering torches and oil lamps, they might have had a form of permanent, steady lighting. Some ancient carvings, like the Dendera light relief, depict Egyptians holding objects that look remarkably like giant light bulbs. Mainstream archaeology dismisses these as symbolic images, but in the context of a power plant, they could be literal depictions of their technology. A society with access to abundant, wireless electricity would have developed in ways we can hardly imagine. Their daily lives would have been fundamentally different from the primitive picture we are often painted. This technology would not have been limited to Egypt. The energy beamed from the pyramid could have been used over a wide area. Perhaps other ancient sites around the world, like Stonehenge or the pyramids in South America, were part of a global energy grid. These structures might have acted as receivers or secondary power stations, tapping into the energy broadcast from Giza. This could explain the surprising similarities in construction and astronomical alignment found at ancient sites across the planet. They may not have been isolated cultures, but part of an interconnected, technologically advanced global civilization. The existence of such a technology would rewrite our entire understanding of history. It would mean that human civilization did not progress in a straight line, but that there was a period of high technology in the distant past that was lost. The collapse of this ancient civilization and the loss of its knowledge would explain why later societies, including the later Egyptian dynasties, did not have the same capabilities. We are not at the peak of human achievement. We are simply rediscovering knowledge that our ancestors once mastered. The Great Pyramid is not just a monument, it is a message from a lost chapter of our own history. When we compare the tomb theory and the power plant theory, we are looking at two fundamentally different interpretations of the same evidence. The tomb theory is based on historical context and tradition. It sees the pyramid as the ultimate expression of a pharaoh's power and his belief in the afterlife. It explains the pyramid's location in a necropolis and relies on the writings of later historians like Herodotus. Its strength lies in its simplicity and its connection to the known religious beliefs of the ancient Egyptians. It fits neatly into the established timeline of history. However, the tomb theory leaves many critical questions unanswered. It cannot explain the lack of a body or treasures. It struggles to account for the extreme precision of the construction, which far exceeds the requirements for a simple tomb. It dismisses the unique physical properties of the materials used as coincidence. It offers no satisfactory explanation for the function of the shafts, the Grand Gallery's design, or the empty granite coffer in the king's chamber. To accept the tomb theory, one must ignore a huge amount of physical evidence that points to a more complex purpose. It is a theory that raises more questions than it answers. The power plant theory, on the other hand, starts with the physical evidence. It is a bottom-up approach that treats the pyramid as a functional object. It provides a cohesive explanation for the choice of materials, the precise dimensions, and the layout of the chambers and shafts. It explains the tool marks on the granite as evidence of advanced machining, powered by the pyramid itself. It gives a purpose to every part of the structure, from the subterranean chamber to the relieving chambers above the king's chamber. Every piece of the puzzle fits into a logical, functioning system. The main challenge for the power plant theory is that it contradicts the established historical narrative. It proposes a level of technology that historians and archaeologists are unwilling to accept for that time period. There are no ancient texts that explicitly state, "We built the pyramid to be a power plant." Therefore, the theory remains in the realm of speculation for the mainstream academic community. However, the absence of written records does not invalidate the physical evidence. The pyramid itself is the primary artifact, and its construction tells a story that is hard to ignore. The machine is its own instruction manual. The Great Pyramid of Giza continues to hold its secrets close. While the power plant theory offers a compelling explanation for many of its mysteries, there is still much we do not know. We have only just begun to scratch the surface of its potential function. Modern science is now developing tools that can help us look inside the pyramid in non-destructive ways. Technologies like muography, which uses cosmic rays to scan large structures, have already revealed previously unknown voids and chambers. Each new discovery provides another piece of the puzzle. What other secrets might be hidden within those millions of tons of stone? Are there other chambers or passages yet to be found? The sealed shafts in the Queen's Chamber remain one of the most tantalizing mysteries. What lies behind those small stone doors? Exploring them further could provide definitive proof of a chemical delivery system, which would lend enormous weight to the power plant theory. We must continue to push for more exploration, using the best technology available to us, to answer these questions once and for all. The pyramid has more to tell us. Perhaps the biggest unanswered question is what happened to this technology. If the ancient Egyptians had access to this incredible power source, why did it disappear? Was there a catastrophe that destroyed the system? Did the knowledge become lost over generations, fading into myth and legend? Understanding how this technology was lost is just as important as understanding how it worked. It is a cautionary tale for our own civilization. It reminds us that progress is not guaranteed, and that even the most advanced knowledge can be forgotten. Ultimately, the Great Pyramid challenges us to be more open-minded. It forces us to question what we think we know about the past. Whether it was a tomb, a power plant, or something else entirely, it is a testament to the genius of its builders. It stands as a permanent reminder that there are still great mysteries in the world waiting to be solved. The quest to understand the Great Pyramid is a quest to understand our own origins and our own potential. The final secrets are locked in the stone, waiting for a generation with the courage and the curiosity to find them.